Hi guys, today on Outdated Tech we have the Huawei Ascend Mate 7. Back almost 1 year ago when it was released, it was Huawei's flagship phablet. But how good is it now, still being on KitKat with Lollipop coming in the near future but still not being there? I guess let's take a closer look at the design and build quality first. Size comparison with a more regular sized phone. As you can see, it is taller, it is also wider, and in this case also thicker. But if you compare the size with the actual display, you will see it has been done really nice because there's not a whole lot of bezel and pretty much everything else is display. So in this term I'm happy. The one thing that I would have wished for, not to have parallel sides but more of a curve, so you wouldn't feel the whole width of the device but it would feel more narrow in the hand, which it doesn't. But like I said, it is for a 6 inches still quite manageable. The back material is aluminum, feels very nice and smooth, but it can be a little bit slippery if you have a little bit more sweaty or oily hands. Other than that, we have the fingerprint scanner here that works really nice. You just tap on it and it works. It does wake up the device if it hasn't been too long in standby, and it is quite working reliable. Sometimes with a little bit more moisty hands, it didn't recognize the finger, but it was mostly very good. 13 megapixel camera here, flash, headphone jack, microphone on the top, and on the bottom micro USB with another microphone. Other than that, there's not too much to tell. In terms of build quality, it feels really solid, really nice, but there is a little bit of squeaking going on here. But it is a 1-year-old review unit, so that's to be understood, and I get it absolutely. So it looks nice, it feels quite good. Maybe not as premium as the HTC One M9, but still quite nice. So let's check the display then. Here we have it. 6 inches 1080p IPS. In terms of sunlight reliability, I'm not that amazed, even though it is a really bright panel, and that is something maybe because of the screen protector that has something to do with it, but since it's a review I didn't want to take that off. Other than that, it is still totally sharp enough. 1080p on 6 inches still works. It is definitely not as sharp as QHD, but it gets the job more than just fine. Also, the colors, as you can see, they are quite vibrant. The white was definitely too warm, but we have color temperature control to adjust that. I went all the way down to cold, and now I'm really happy. Colors, they maybe don't really pop, but they are still very vibrant and vivid, quite accurate as well. So I don't have any complaints. Also the viewing angles, they are very stable, as you can see here. So a really nice display. Absolutely nothing to complain. Fine done. Not the very best display, but really nice. Let's check the sound. As you maybe heard it, the maximum volume is absolutely fine. Yes, it is backfiring, so that's the one downside. Other than that, the sound is quite okay. There's not a whole lot of bass. The mids are okay. Highs definitely sound overall a little bit tinny, but also a little bit harsh if you reflect the sound. So in overall, I would say it's not a great sound, but far from being bad, and it's still acceptable, absolutely fine. Let's check the performance then. Here we have the first thing that I want to show off is on Twitter, and as you can already see, scrolling is definitely not on a Lollipop level since we use KitKat, but this is not even quite a great KitKat level. There is still a lot of stutter going on, and mostly the browser works fine. Also not on Lollipop smoothness. It is okay, but these days even a budget phone can do better. I've seen a lot of budget phone like the Moto G, for example, already perform better. We have a lot of stutter going on. We have a lot of lag. So it is okay, but it's definitely not great. The multitasking is something that I don't like at all because, as you can see, the animation needs way too long, and also how it works isn't wrong, because I would expect the last apps to be down there, but the last apps are up there, so it's not really convenient to use. You only see 4 apps. You can't slide down to the side. Multitasking otherwise is okay. Since we have KitKat, we have no RAM leak issue. You can store up to sometimes 8, 9 to even 11 apps, but of course it always depends on how heavy the app actually is. So gaming performance was also not really that great, and I don't want to go into that too much because it is okay. It's definitely not a great level anymore. Lollipop would really help this device, but from all I know so far, the Lollipop beta that is out right now still is far from being a daily driver, and people go back to 4.4.4. So performance is definitely my biggest weakness here, because there's just too much stutter and it's never really smooth. But other than that, with Lollipop, things could change definitely to a more proper level, but for right now it isn't. As for the battery life, a full charge takes about 3.5, maybe even a little bit longer, but therefore the battery life is really exceptional if we check that really quick, because we have a 4100 milliamp hour battery, which of course sounds big, but it also really performs very well. As you can see here, 80% of use, 4 hours. This is an odd bug that happened. I just wanted to show that off as well. So here we have it, 3 hours, not even used, 50% over the course of 11 hours. Here we have almost 7 hours over the course of 1 day and still 7% left. Here we can see that's the one odd thing, but that's, I think, mostly an ice cream sandwich thing. I mean KitKat, because the kernel shows way too much load, but I would not bother too much about it. Here again, 6 hours and 16 over 16 hours used. Here we have 2 hours after a third. And here we have, with a bit of a heavier load, 4.5 over the course of almost 2 days. So you can see, I would expect, this has to be said though, it was mostly used on Wi-Fi because I wasn't at work that week. So I was only on mobile data when I was somewhere getting groceries or something like that. I would expect about at least 5 solid to 6 or even more, as you saw, hours of screen on time over the course of 1 day. Over the course of 2 days, 4.5 to 5 should be possible. At least 4, I would say. Standby drain wasn't really amazing, about 0.5% per hour. Still okay though. Let's get to the software then. And this is actually my second gripe after the not that great performance. Because the one thing that is cool here, we have the navigation bar that, as you can see, you can just move to a more one-handed, and of course now it doesn't work. Usually you can move that around. Yeah, as you can see here, this is really comfortable for one-handed use because you can access everything. There is also, if you want, a button to get the quick settings down. And one thing that has been done nice, if you slide down the left side, you get the notification which looks weird because they are time sensitive or some kind of thing. But if you go on the right side, you have a quick pull down, which is really nice. Other than that, you don't have an app drawer. So if you want that, you definitely have to install something like Nova Launcher. The quick settings itself look a little bit odd, but they work quite okay. Nothing really extreme. And here, as you can see, it doesn't really look a lot like Android anymore. Their skin is quite heavy. There is not a whole lot of bloat, but there are a lot of annoying things because, especially when it comes to the battery, it reminds you like every half an hour there is one app running in the background doing something, preventing you from getting the best battery life, and that came a little bit annoying after a while. Other than that, it works okay, but it's really, I don't know, I was just not that happy with the software after all. It gets the job done, but it is far from being one of my favorite skins, definitely not. So let's get to the camera then. The camera with 30 megapixels was really nice, quite sharp, definitely adequate sharpness for this kind of camera. Good exposure levels, good color calibration. All that was done really nice, nothing to really complain. Autofocus worked as well. Also for the video, totally fine. So nothing really outstanding, but on a very high level, and I have nothing to say otherwise. The camera is definitely solid. And let's wrap this up, get to the recap. Design and build quality, really nice. It could maybe feel a little bit more narrow with curves, but other than that, it feels solid. It feels quite compact, 4 to 6 inches, so all is fine here. The display is very nice, maybe not extremely great, but I had no complaints. If I would have to start, maybe it would be the sunlight readability, but the rest was absolutely fine as well. Sound, backfiring a little bit tinny, but other than that, loud enough and not that bad sounding. After all, quite okay, acceptable. Performance is the one downside here. One of the two downsides. It is lagging a little bit too much. It's not really ever smooth. Multitasking works kinda reliable with KitKat, but the way it does the multitasking with the software UI looks a little bit odd. As for the battery life, that is definitely the outstanding highlight here, because with screen on times of 6 hours and more, it is definitely one of the best ones out on the market, and then definitely for a phablet, more than just great. The camera also very solid, high level, produces great shots. So to the end, would I recommend it? And that really depends mostly on the price, because here it is still $360, and then I definitely can't recommend it, because something like a Nexus 6 with overall way better specifications and overall experience costs almost the same these days. So if you find it on a good deal and like KitKat, because there are still a lot of people that even on, for some example, like the Sony, use KitKat because the battery life is way better, RAM management has been done better. So there are still a lot of people that prefer KitKat over Lollipop. Personally, in this case, the performance is one thing why I would like to see Lollipop, and I wanted this review unit actually once Lollipop was out, but I got it earlier, so I can't really judge about that. But you know pretty much everything there is to know, and I can't give it my full recommendation. Therefore, it's just a little bit too outdated and not performing well enough in the software department. The rest though, display, sound, build quality, battery life, camera, all that would be great. So Lollipop actually could make this device for a great price really compelling again. But there's also a Huawei Nexus coming out maybe soon, so we will know more in a few weeks or months, I guess. So until then, I would say bye. If you have anything to say, any questions, leave them down in the comments. And if you like this review, please give me a thumbs up, reshare this video and subscribe to my channel. Okay, until next time, bye.